Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Norcal PTAC's webinar, How to Win Contracts by Making a Capture Strategy. And so you've come to the right place if you'd like to learn about what a capture strategy is and how to use it to succeed in the government market. My name is James Forrest. I'm a procurement specialist with Norcal PTAC. My colleague Nancy Pigeon, colleague and mentor, is going to be leading today. Nancy is also a procurement specialist, and she's going to be taking us through the main content of the presentation. Before we hand things over to Nancy, I just want to talk about PTACs real quick and what we are, since we're the hosts of today. PTACs are actually, on an important note, we're going to be changing our name. We're in the process of doing a name change from PTAC, which is a national program, to APEX-Accelerator. So you'll start to hear that name, APEX-Accelerator, thrown around as well. So you'll see both logos and both names for probably most of the year to side by side to get used to. But there are about 96 PTAC centers across the country, and we're just one of them. You can see on this map here, these are some of the ones in California. There are a ton, and we cover all these northern counties here. So I'll talk about our PTAC a little more specificity. But what we do is we help businesses, especially small businesses, compete and succeed in the government marketplace. And that is all we do. We don't help with grants, we don't help with funding, startup assistance, anything else. We are laser focused on contracts to help you succeed in that sphere. And we provide all of our services for free. So it doesn't cost you anything. We like to say you've already paid for us with your taxes. So you might as well take advantage of us. We're funded by federal, state, and local grants and contracts. And in FY21, we served all of PTACs across the country served over 56,000 clients and helped them win more than 24 billion in contracts, which is great. Here's our share of that. We've helped our clients in 2021 win more than $500 million. So out of 96 PTACs, we are hitting above average for sure. And part of that is because of our wonderful clients in our service area. You can see on our map here, we've got all these rural northern counties, Del Norte, Siskiyou, Trinity, Shasta, Humboldt, then down the coast, and then these 9 counties in the Bay Area. And so what we do for our clients is basically 3 core services: one-on-one counseling. So procurement specialists like Nancy and myself can meet with you individually if you're in our service area, you have an established business in our service area and you're interested in government contracting, and you're a for-profit entity, not a nonprofit or something like that. Then we can sit down with you and go through really just about anything related to government contracting. We'll go over some of our services in the next slide. We can also set you up with a custom bid matching profile. This is a service that we pay for and then offer to you for free. It's really neat. Basically what it does is it goes out on the internet and a bunch of different databases and scrapes together all of these bid opportunities that match the criteria that you work out with your counselor, your procurement specialist. And ideally what happens is you wake up every morning and you have an email in your inbox with any of the matches. And you can just get started on putting together a proposal for these. So the third thing we do is resources and trainings. That's another word for webinars and events and workshops and presentations like the one we're doing today. So these are always free, and you don't have to be in a service area to join. So perhaps some of you are coming from out of the state or a different part of California, and that's totally fine with us. You can sign up for us at norcalptach.org. If you are outside of our service area here, please click the second link once you get the slides, and it'll bring you to a directory of all the different PTACs. Or I just like to just Google the name of your county and state and then the words PTAC. And that usually comes up with the correct resource as well. And this is just a brief kind of a cross-section of the different kind of things we can help our clients with. Really everything from SAM registration, all kinds of certifications with the FDA and VA and different things, capability statements, market research. So really, you name it. So we got a lot of content to go through today, talking about spending cycles and capture strategies and all of this. And there's no one better to deliver the presentation than Nancy Pigeon. I'm going to let Nancy go ahead and introduce herself and take it from here. Just a reminder, folks, that you can keep saying hello in the chat. If you have questions for Nancy about the content, please put those in the Q&A tab. It's a lot easier for us to follow along the questions when they go in the Q&A tab rather than the chat where they get mixed in with everything else. And just another note, everyone's going to be receiving the slides. We are video recording this, and the slides as well as video will be sent to everyone and posted on our website. All right, thank you, Nancy, so much.
Okay, thank you, James. Thank you for the intro, and all the information about PTAC, and welcome everyone to the how to set up a capture planning for your opportunities. First time I'm teaching this, so we got a lot to go through, and hopefully we'll have time for questions. I'm just going to put that out there right at the beginning. So I am a procurement specialist. I was in contracting for 12 years, active duty Air Force. I have done 10 years in federal government. So I was an Air Force civilian procurement analyst. I was with the Veterans Affairs for 4 years. And then I did the Bureau of Reclamation, Department of Interior for 4 years as well. And I've been at PTAC for 3.5 years. Surprising, it's really gone fast, and I really enjoy it. And the best part is I get to do one-on-one counseling, and that's what I really love, helping clients set up the path and the strategy for making their business acceptable to government contracting. And we do have a poll. I'm sorry, James, I forgot to ask you to put those up. Just a couple of polls. I'm just wanting to know a little about you, just so I can tailor the presentation a little bit. So if you'll answer those questions real quick, we'll get going, because like I said, we have a lot to get through. I didn't just do an overview type of presentation. There's a lot of good information in this presentation, as well as links and other things so you can get a full picture and get a lot out of this session.
You know, I'm just realizing we made both questions mandatory, so I think
oh no,
they don't have a contract. You can just put less. I think that's what most folks are figuring out here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit confusing. All
Yeah.
right, we'll give you a couple more seconds here. Just quickly, just click on whatever answer corresponds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to end the poll here. One person swooped in underneath the deadline there. Great. I'll share the results here.
What are our results?
The first question: do you have a contract, federal government? It looks like
wow.
A couple people did, 14%. Most people do not. 82% did not, and then one person, 5%, said it's complicated or it's in progress.
Okay.
And then the vast majority said less than 250.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Many of those would mean that they don't have a contract at all. So
okay, that's good. We can move on then.
right, great.
Got it closed. Okay. Let's move on into our agenda. We'll just go real quick through that. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So the first 3 we're going to talk about is, just kind of the background of what is capture planning, the importance, and when do you need to do it. And then we'll get into the kind of a simplified strategy and then a complex strategy. And then we'll do a little summary and hopefully get to questions. Okay, so what is capture planning? It's an overall part of your business development. So it really comes together over time. It's about doing your market research to identify your opportunities, and you will get better at it over time. Assessing your environment, and this is really about who are your competitors, what's your competitive advantage, and pricing. How's your pricing match up to your competitors? And then finally, the overall plan is to implement your winning strategy to capture and win contracts or business opportunities with your top target agency. So that's all about capture planning and what it is. The importance, I think you could probably figure out the importance. You want to capture new business more efficiently, so a plan to do that. And then properly position yourself in the channels, especially with your target agencies, the people who buy what you sell. Get your higher win ratio. So learning from each of your opportunities, which ones you win and which ones you lose, getting those debriefings and understanding where you need to improve. And then if you're doing a more complex opportunity, it jumpstarts your proposal planning and gets you into how to do your proposal and how to submit it. And one of the importance is you're going to move from an unknown to a known position with the client or the agency here. So the more you get involved, marketing and submitting proposals, you're going to become more known to your target clients. Okay, when is capture planning needed? So this should really be simple acquisitions. So simple acquisitions, a lot of you may be in this category. It's small value items, really low risk. Usually it's just price or price related. So it all comes down to the dollars, whether the government's going to buy it or not. So lowest price, acceptable. It also involves micro purchases. So those government purchase cards, which contracting doesn't have a lot of control over. These are just folks, down in the units using their card to buy small dollar items. And then again, your sales strategy is more of a numbers game. Like I said, it's all about price, sharpening your pencil and getting down to that price that the government wants. And then we have the complex acquisition where capture planning really comes in to play. This is when you're going after those high dollar value multi-year contracts or indefinite delivery contracts, something where you're going to be on a contract for more than 1 year. It's usually a higher risk to the contractor because the government doesn't want to take on a lot of risk. And usually the evaluation is about past performance, your experience, and your team. So price is less of a factor. They're going to rate you on your past performance, how much experience you have, and who's going to be on your team. So I like to break out just a simple thing like simplified acquisitions would be supplies, right? Complex acquisitions are more complex type of services. So if you want to look at it that way, that might help break it down a little bit for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about simplified acquisitions, since a lot of you are just starting out. These techniques may be, better for you to start out with, and then you can build up to that capture planning if you go into the larger dollar contracts. So simplified acquisitions. So just a couple of brief notes about simplified acquisition. So the threshold is 250,000. So anything below 250,000 is considered simplified acquisitions. And this means that the contracting officer can use simplified methods to purchase these items. That's FAR Part 13, if you want to go read FAR Part 13. However, the simplified acquisition threshold is also $7.5 million if the acquisition is a commercial item. So if that's confusing, sorry. You can read FAR Part 13 and understand it a little bit more. There are commercial items and there are non-commercial items. And non-commercial items usually cost a whole lot more, and you have to use different parts of the FAR. Simplified and FAR Part 13, you can include parts of FAR Part 15 to make the requirements. So if you haven't gotten into the FAR, you may want to go ahead and do that. That's the Federal Acquisition Regulation. You can click on this FAR 5.101 and get to the FAR actually and do that. Sorry if I'm confusing people. So publicizing requirements. This is important. Any requirement that's over 25,000 has to be advertised via what they call the government point of entry. And in this case, it's sam.gov. If you haven't been out to sam.gov, go ahead and get out there and get registered because that government does everything through there. You have to be registered in SAM to bid and to look for opportunities and just about everything else. So everything is moving to sam.gov. So anything over 25,000, they have to post it. Okay, so requirements between 15,000 and 25,000. It has to be either a public notice unless oral solicitation is used. And trust me, most contracting officers use oral solicitations, just getting 3 quotes from someone who they know or who they find on the SBA Dynamic Small Business Search. So this point right here, SBA profile, is very important. If you don't know what your SBA profile is, please get with your PTAC counselor. This is where you have a short capability statement and your keywords. I, as a contracting officer, would go to Dynamic Small Business Search, put in my NAICS code that I'm looking for and some keywords, and it would pop up all the small businesses. I could see who's woman-owned, I could see who's other disadvantaged, and I can make a decision on who I'm gonna ask for the 3 quotes from. Also, as far as the public notice, when I was in the Bureau of Reclamation, we used FedConnect. I have a link right here. So if I didn't want to go through the process of getting oral solicitations, I would post the 15 to 25,000 opportunities on FedConnect. And so I have the link here, and I'll show you in a few minutes what that is. And then the government person card is everything under 10,000. It's not advertised. You can't get a list of GPC card holders. So it's a little harder to get in this market. They usually buy from online, Amazon, whatever. They just want to make a quick purchase and get it shipped quickly. And so this one's a hard one to break into. If you want to try and break in that, I would get with your PTAC counselor and learn some strategies for doing that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so action plan for simplified opportunities. Again, work with your PTAC counselor to establish a plan of action. Create and optimize your SAM and SBA profile. So I talked about that SBA profile. If you don't know what that is, please get with your PTAC counselor so you can get that short capability statement and your keywords out there for contracting officers to find. And again, of course, get all your eligible small business certifications that you can. If you're a small business, you'll be automatically certified as a small business in SAM when you register in SAM. But if you are a disadvantaged business or a woman-owned business or a veteran-owned business, you want to get those certifications to kind of set you apart from small businesses. Of course, conduct market research to identify your opportunity targets. So learning what agency buys what you sell, and your PTAC counselor can help you with that too. We have all kinds of resources that we can help you search for that. And then market your opportunity targets, of course. Once you do your research and find out, what agency is buying what you sell, make sure you get a hold of that small business specialist, get your capability statement out there, and then keep following up with them to see if there's anything you can do for them. And then I have understand fiscal year spending. So if you're doing these small dollar type spending, you'll want to understand this, and I do have a slide coming up on it. I'll talk a little bit more about it. Then establish your system for prospecting for opportunities. And of course, we have bid match here at Norcal PTAC. We can set you up for, this is keywords. It goes out and searches and sends you solicitations to your email. And then you can take a look at solicitations. If it's something you want to go for, you can talk to your PTAC counselor to learn how to read the solicitation, learn what your proposal needs to be or what your bid needs to be. We can help you with all that as a PTAC counselor. You don't have to go it alone, trust me. And then you want to establish a system to quickly evaluate the bid and no bid decision. I think this is really important, and it gets overlooked a lot, especially when you're first starting to look at solicitations. I have some clients that send them to me and they haven't even read them. So make sure you read it before you start asking your PTAC counselor about it, unless you absolutely don't know how to read it or understand it. Because a lot of times there'll be a disqualifying statement in there. And you get all hyped up about trying to do it. Just make sure you read it and understand whether you can bid or not, because you don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, because time is money, right? So you don't want to go through putting a whole solicitation together, a whole proposal together, a whole bid together, and then find out you don't qualify for it. So that's a really important thing. Quickly evaluate a bid or no bid decision. Okay, this is that fiscal year spending graph that I just wanted to spend a little time on. As you can see, well, I should start at the beginning. The fiscal years begins 1 October and ends 30 September. Let me blow this up a little bit, maybe. Yeah, okay. So you can see right here, October, November, December. So October and November are kind of really slow. Even December can be really slow. And this is millions of dollars, by the way. I don't know if you saw that on the chart. So this is fiscal year, and this is millions of dollars. Oh, I'm sorry, billions of dollars, excuse me. So usually things start happening in the second quarter of the fiscal year, January, February, and there's a big ramp up in March. Usually because in January, they start putting out their known requirements for bidding or proposals. And it can take up to 3 months to do the awards. So you see the spike in awards here. So, and that would be, you know, their known requirements, what they've been planning on spending for this year. Could be any number of things, but you can see there's a spike right here. So I suggest, you know, you can even start back October, November, December of getting your marketing out to the small business specialists. If you're already in with an agency, you know, start marketing again. Hey, what's coming up? Do you have anything coming up that would, you know, that I could, that I match what you're doing? Can you let me know? And then really start hitting them January, February, although solicitation will probably be posted in January, maybe February if it's a short turnaround. But as you can see, March is a big month for fiscal year spending. Even into April, there's still a spike. So February, March, April are usually the things that they've been planning that are planned expenditures. And then you kind of go back down in May and June because folks are, you know, taking a little break, going back and figuring out what the budget is, what they still want to buy in the fiscal year, any planned items that they now know they have the money for, they'll kind of put out May, June timeframe. You know, and if they're larger dollar, they're going to take a little while to award. And then you get the run up to September 30th, where they have their use or lose money, they call it. So if they don't use all the money in their budget, they'll probably get a lower budget the next year. So they want to spend it. So it's a good time to contact the small business specialist in those agencies that you're targeting. Target any of the agencies that you have a relationship, and make sure they remember that you're out there and you're ready to fulfill their needs and get it to them by September 30th. Okay, so that's a little bit about fiscal year. If you want to know more about fiscal year spending, you can you know, Google it or see if Govology or we have another PTAC training on it. Okay, let me blow this one up because I know it's little. So this is a resource for you. Let me get to the top. So this is acquisition.gov. They have a lot of information out there, so you might want to go explore it. There is a link in this slide to go to it. But this is small business, and these are small business links to the small business advocates that I was talking about. So you want to get your information out to these small business advocates. Just click on it. It's going to give you a list, and it goes by agency. So if you have, I'm going to use Department of Homeland Security because I have an example of that. So Department of Homeland Security, if you click on their small business list, it's going to bring up who their small business representative is. You can get your capability statement out with them. If they happen to be in town, you could go meet with them, you know, and talk about your business. This is all about marketing and marketing yourself. It takes a lot of work in government contracting. It's not easy, that's for sure. But that's one resource I wanted to give you. Let me see, let me go back to the top real quick. So that's small business. Then you have a link for business opportunities. It may take you to what they have coming up. there's a vendor communication plan about how you can talk to them and what they can do for you. And then this is a download. It's industry liaison directory. It's a download. You may want to download that because it gives you emails and phone numbers of who the industry liaison is in those agencies. So that's a quick download. That's a quick win right there of resources. What else we got? Oh, FedConnect. So I talked about FedConnect. It's not a well-known thing, but the BOR does use this. Bureau of Reclamation does use this to post opportunities. It's part of their contract writing system where it automatically gets posted on FedConnect. You can actually see any public opportunity for free. You can register for a free account. I'm not sure what all that gives you though. I've usually been on the other side of it. So, our full access. I'm hoping it's a free account. You can set up a search is what I'm hoping. I should have explored that before I gave it to you, but hopefully you can go take a look and see what it does for you. Anyway, I wanted to show you, these are some current opportunities that are out there right now. Sources saw, I like the snowmobiles. So if anybody has snowmobiles, maybe you can look at that one. And then it tells you the issue date. So that was just a day ago, I think. And when it's due. So 4 p.m. Eastern time on the 3rd. So that's just a quote, okay? Simple acquisition, it's probably going to come down to the lowest dollar and who gave them the most technically acceptable for their requirement. Snowmobile. Some of these are just special notices. So you'll want to look here. Sources sought, you'll want to send a capability statement if you can do this. Just let them know, yeah, we can do this. Here's my capability statement. This is the way they determine if they're going to go small business or woman-owned business or, you know, any socioeconomic, depending on what their goals are, where they're at in their goaling. So send in that capability statement to get your name on the list. And then if you need to, I would follow this if it's available on SAM too, or follow it within FedConnect, just so you get the updates on when the solicitation is posted. I would also reach out, if there's a source in here, I would reach out to them, make sure they got your capability and let them know that you're really interested in it. So, okay, let's move on to our complex type of categories. So these are, again, your large dollar contracts you're going to go for. Typically services contracts. They may do some IDIQs for supplies, which could be a bigger contract. But it just depends on what's out there and what they're doing to do it. But these are usually over 250,000. They're going to use Simplified Acquisitions plus FAR Part 15, which is the trade-offs. So they're going to be looking for your past performance, your technical ability, and those types of things. And those are all more important than price. So that's what makes it different than the Simplified. Simplified is just about pricing. Okay, so some of this we've already gone over. Again, your market research, prospecting, knowing which agencies buy what you sell, and then the forecasting technique, which is really important. What's coming up, learn about contracts that are expiring, or new contracts that are going to be let in the year. And I'll go a little more in forecasting in a few minutes. Again, who are your top agencies and top contract vehicles? You can kind of look these up on fpds.gov. Again, your Norcal PTAC, not Norcal, but your PTAC counselor can help you with this. So don't go it alone, get with your counselor, learn all you can. I put these two because they're free, fpds.gov, USA Spending. But in Norcal PTAC, we have a couple of that we subscribe to that we get reports for our clients. So if you're Norcal PTAC. I can't vouch for what other PTACs have. I was going to make another point on that, but I forgot. And then meet with your target agency, small business specialist. So that slide we saw before, where I showed you the small business specialist. Look there, get their name. Excuse me, 1 second, sorry. Look there, get their name. If you already have a relationship, if you already have a relationship with the agency, maybe you know who the contracting officer is, keep up those relationships. But again, don't pester them. There's nothing more contracting officer or contract specialist hate than being pestered by a contractor. So take it in small doses if you are talking with a contracting officer. Small business specialists, you can bug them. That's fine. That's their job. But if you have a relationship with a CO, tread carefully. Don't take up their time. Just say, hey, just a reminder, I'm here for your needs, and leave it at that. And again, when you're talking to small business specialist, you can ask them for any relevant or ongoing multi-year, which are option year contracts. So you have a base year plus 4 years, so a total of 5 years contract. IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity type contracts, anything where you can get a contract written that's going to cover 5 years, and they're just going to call you when they need something. So those are the big vehicles to get on in these complex situations. They do these for 5 years because they don't want to have to advertise it again. It's a lot to go through these high dollar things. There's a lot of thresholds you got to follow, send up for a review. There's legal review. So they don't want to do that every year. So they write these multi-year or IDIQ contracts, so they don't have to do these $1 million contracts every year over and over. And then you can also ask a small business special in the incumbent contractor name, their contract number, and the anticipated recompete dates, because that's going to give you an idea of who's already doing it, what the contract number is, so you can get a copy of the contract, and when they're going to recompete it. So you can start doing this capture planning, right? Okay, so let's go into forecast of opportunities, because it's a really important part of your capture strategy. So again, federal agencies, they start planning prior to the fiscal year. So when they were at the end of 2022, they'd already been planning 2023, probably 3 or 4 months in advance, maybe even a year in advance. And then required by law, each federal agency has to post their contracting opportunities for the fiscal year. I know when I was doing it, it was September 30th. It had to be posted by September 30th. They have to post anything that exceeds the simplified acquisition threshold of $250,000. And it was an opportunity that can or will be set aside for small business or socioeconomic programs. This allows small business to plan and prepare for the upcoming fiscal year. So if you don't know about forecast of opportunities, take another class on it, or just understand that the information is out there for you to farm going into the next fiscal year. Excuse me. And then just understand priorities and funding may change and requirements may be canceled. This is very true. I know a good example of this is like during COVID, some money had to be deferred to pay for other things. And so some projects had to be postponed until maybe the next fiscal year. They had to pull money from projects to fund things for COVID. That's a good example of when priorities change. Okay, let me blow this up. So we're back to this act.gov site that we looked at before. And this one, we're specifically looking at the agency procurement forecast. See, they're all right here for you to farm and market research and see what's being planned. And it goes by, like I said, agency, and you'll just click on here. It'll take you to an agency forecast. I have to say some of them are just an Excel spreadsheet, you know, not that sophisticated. Some of them are a full-blown system, like what I'm going to show you with the Department of Homeland Security. So it's kind of hit or miss. There's no standard for what the agency puts out. They just have to put it out. So let's move into looking at that, the one for Homeland Security. I'll just blow it up again. Let's see. Do I want to blow this one up? Let's see. Okay. So this is Department of Homeland Security. They call it the Acquisition Planning and Forecast System. This is very fancy, I have to say. Really fancy. Like you said right there, this is official website of Homeland Security. It says, order for businesses, particularly small business, to view anticipated contract actions over $250,000. Just what I was telling you about. You can subscribe to email notifications. And this is the important one. This is their forecast. So if you click on here, you're going to get to the forecast. I'll show you in a minute. This talks about the public law that says that they have to post this. And then it also talks about the potential for subcontracting opportunities. So if you're small and looking for a prime, you can come here and look at the forecast and then try to see what prime may be contracting on this, so you could get in on subcontract, or maybe even a joint venture, you know. Yeah, just look and see. Okay, let me blow this one up. Okay, so here's what it looks when you click on that button. You can look at performance city, you can look at state. And then they have the 250 to 500K or the 500K. And there's more down here. I cut it off. Sorry about that. But you can go by that. I think on this, I just selected what's in FY 2023. So here's some opportunities. I want to show, okay, right here, contract status. Follow on to existing contract. So if you see that, you know there's already a contract in existence. They're getting ready. It's probably been 5 years, and now they have to write a new contract. So there's an incumbent contract. Find out who the incumbent contractor is. See if you can get a copy of their contract. And we know that this one's going to let's see. This one here, they were supposedly released at September 1st, 2023. So, but you'll find some that's later in the quarter. Sorry, I should have got some that were due in the third quarter, but so these were all due, are going to be posted in the first quarter. So you can always write, because sometimes they don't get done in the first quarter and people don't come in here and update this, and it might still be available. But look for things. So we're in January. So you don't want to look for things that are coming due in the second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. They should have, if you view this, it should have a point of contact that you can reach out to and find out if it's been posted or when the solicitation is coming due. Another thing about the existing contract, I was saying, if you get the contract number and you find out who the point of contact is, you can always ask them for a copy of the contract. Doesn't mean they're going to give it to you. But you can always put in Freedom of Information Act and ask for the contract. So that's a FOIA request, if you've ever heard of that, or Freedom of Information Act. If you want to look that up and get more information on it. But I would ask them first if you can have a copy. Some will give you a copy, some won't. So, and then this one here, you can see it's a new contract. So there won't be a whole lot of information on it. But it looks like it's for maintenance on a ship. Oh, I forgot to say, they do give you a price range of what they think it's going to be. So this one's 5 million to 10 million, 500K to $1 million. So this gives you kind of what they think the range that they think it's going to cost. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to do on this one? I don't think so. Okay. So this is important in your capture strategy to find out when these are coming due and when you can start planning. This is really what capture strategy is all about, capturing these contracts that are coming due. So let's look at doing the capture strategy. So they have a term for it, plan of action and milestones, POAM, not POEM, but POAM. It's a written action plan, specific tasks, dates, responsible people, that type of thing. Or you can just call it a capture strategy plan, or whatever terminology you want to use. Here's some activities, of course. So we identified opportunity. So just say we want to get that first follow-on contract we saw there. Research and assess the opportunity. So we're going to get a copy of that contract. We're going to assess if it's right for us. Can we do everything that's in that contract? And again, make the initial bid decision. Okay, we're going to go for it. What do we need to do? Get a capture plan together, determine roles. I know some of you are probably just a one-person show there, but this will come with time if you're going to go after these large dollar contracts. You want to assign a capture manager who's responsible for the whole plan and keeping everybody in line to get to the finish line. And of course, last action is you're going to execute to the POAM or the capture strategy. So I'm going to have some key activities for this. I'm going to go over in more detail on the next slide. But you see we have, summarizing requirement. What's the most important requirement? Who's the influencer and the agency for competitor analysis, a SWOT analysis. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Any win themes, the proposal plan, post-award, and the win team. So let's get a little more into that. I do have a template here. And I'm going to blow it up. And we'll go through each one of these. This is something I found online and I really liked it. It's from Trello, and I'm not advertising for them or suggesting you use it. This isn't an endorsement of Trello. I just like how they had it set up. You can always take this and make your own if you have a robust system. Maybe put it in your drive so everybody can work on it. I just happen to like how they had this set up, so I grabbed it. I created a free account to get this, and you can do so too, just to look at it. The link is on here. Once you get the slides, you'll be able to go to the link, or you could just look up Trello and capture plan and it'll come up. I don't know once you write in here what's going to be spit out at the end, so just explore that a little bit more. Okay, but anyways, here's a summary of the capture plan. So we want to look at client history. What's the agency history? Analyze requirements that are in the solicitation. How good a relationship do we have with this agency that we're going to work with? Have we had any key interactions with them? Small business specialist, contracting officer. Do we have past or current performance that's similar to what they're asking for? Okay. And then most important requirements. What are the customer hot buttons? So, once you read through that requirement, what looks like is their hot buttons? What do they really need? That's what you need to focus on when you're writing your proposal. And again, most important requirements and metrics that matter. So if you're going to set up metrics about, what's more important, what should we key in on? That's what you do here. And you can remove these cards if you don't want them, or you can add a card. This is, it's going to be tailored to what you need. Influencer map, identify the decision-making process. So who in the agency is going to make the decision? You'll have the contractor name, maybe if they have a source selection authority, who the source selection authority is, those types of things. And then relationships that you're going to nurture and engage with. This relationship and nurture is probably okay before solicitation, but once something goes to solicitation, the people in the government aren't going to talk to you. So if you have the forecast of opportunities, perfectly fine to talk to whoever the point of contact is at that time. Perfectly fine. But once I go to solicitation, there's going to be no contact. Your competitor analysis, again, who's your competitors? If you've been in the industry for a while, you're going to know this. If you've been in business for a while, you're going to know who your competitors are. And then my competitive advantage. What's your advantage over all these competitors? Then a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you want to go through, it may involve your competitors. It may involve what your weaknesses are. Maybe it's supply line, what the opportunities are, any threats to this procurement. And one I would like to add would be risk. They don't do a risk assessment in here, which I think is very important. So under the SWOT, I would add risk. What are our major risks and how are we going to mitigate those risks? This could be staffing. Maybe the government says you have to have a staff all the time, but you've lost somebody, you only have 24 hours to replace them. What's going to be your backup plan to that risk to mitigate it? Win themes, not overly sure what those mean, but what are you gonna punctuate in your proposal that's a theme for winning? And then again, here's your proposal plan. So you've gone through all this. You're probably going to have someone in charge of the proposal who's going to write an outline, do the first draft, second draft, get it reviewed, collect evidence, maybe what your past performance is saying, anything you have to collect, resumes, things like that. Then you're probably going to have a pricing person. So pricing to win. So that's looking back at that incumbent contract, looking what's the industry standard, maybe looking at wage determinations. All of that's going to go into your price to win. Final sign off, whoever's going to be the final reviewer and sign the proposal, submitting it to the government. Maybe there's a presentation that needs to be done. And then certification questions. I guess if this comes up during the review of your proposal, maybe there's a question about what certifications you have. So just be ready to answer those. Okay, post award. So debrief. It's important to get a debrief if you win or lose. Probably more important if you lose, because you can learn what was wrong with your proposal. Why didn't you win? What do I need to do next time? Was it my price? Was it my past performance? Was it my technical? Maybe it was my staff that I wanted to put in there. So learn all that. Do the debrief so you can learn all of that to make your next planning, your capture planning a lot better. If you do win, you'll talk with contracting, do an information plan, capture your lessons learned for future planning, announce and celebrate. And then win team, we don't have to get into this too much. This is the team you're going to put together to manage your contract. And so those are just a few of the things to go through. So take some time and look at this. I think you could even use some of this in your simplified strategies. Once you get going on those, you could take some of these some of these cards and use them for the simplified as well, especially your competitor analysis. And maybe your relationships or strengths with the agency. So don't discount this for simplified acquisitions. You can use part of this too, especially if you have a larger company where you're starting to build up those government requirements. It may be hard if you're just a one-person shop, but you could still come up with a strategy on how you're doing this or hire someone to help you. Okay, so let's go through our summary here. I hope you've learned a lot, and you're going to research it more and talk to your PTAC counselor and go out there and investigate capture planning. You can just Google it, or look on Govology, or I'm sure there's probably tons of YouTube videos out there. But so summary, start your research and planning early. And conduct a thorough research on opportunities, especially the agencies you want to target. And then to develop that client relationship, small business advocates, small business specialists. And, if you can get the contracting officer, another one is whoever the technical person is. So whoever put the requirement together, if you can kind of get that name, that's good too. Maybe you have a relationship with them already. So that's important. And then quickly determine that bid, no bid, propose, don't propose. Like I said, time is money. So just give it a quick once over, read it fully, and then make that determination. You don't want to spend a lot of time doing a proposal or even doing a bid, and then you go back and read the solicitation to find out you didn't even qualify for it. So make that determination early before you put any time into it. And we can help you with making that determination. If you're just starting out, we can go through that solicitation with you and make sure you meet all the requirements. So don't hesitate to talk to your PTAC counselor. And again, surround yourself with a winning team. And this is when you start really getting into those more complex items. Maybe you're just, like I said, maybe you're just a one-man show right now, or have a couple people. Start surrounding yourself with a winning team and resources when you start getting fully into government contracting and even into those complex type things. And then develop and execute that sound capture plan and win strategy. Go over it with a fine-tooth comb and win that contract. And again, if you don't win, make sure you do that debrief. And then just understand it's a continuous process and keep learning and refining. So take all the training you can about capturing how to get into government contracting, who do you need to talk to. That's a continuous process. And then once you do have one of those complex contracts or multi-year contract or IDV contracts, something that they just do ordering off of, once you get it, you want to keep it. So, start making sure you have the good past performance, just do everything you can to please the government, so then when it comes time for them to solicit this again, you're going to be at the top of the list for them to choose from, especially if it's not price related. If they really like your team, you have good past performance, it's going to be hard for someone to unseat you. So that's it for my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to James to talk about our upcoming events, and then we'll see about questions.
Thanks so much, Nancy. That was a lot of a huge useful information. And I know, there's so much information there. Just want to remind folks, you will have the video recording of all of this along with the slides, and you'll have the clickable links through everything. So we always provide that for anybody who joins our webinars. We want you to be able to review this information and process it on your own time as well. So before we go into questions, we do have a little bit of time for questions, probably just 5 minutes, but I just want to indicate that we've always got more events coming up. This Tuesday and this Thursday, we've got ones on local contracting and the 8A program. And then we're having our first hosted in-person event since the onset of COVID for many years. So that's on Thursday, February 23rd. So if you're in the Humboldt area, come on by to Eureka. It's going to be on how to do business with the state of California. So we're really excited about that. So let's go into some questions here. First question, and some of these were sent a while ago, and since then we've had some slides talked about FPDF and USA spending, but maybe it's worth just spending a second talking, reviewing how do we find which agencies buy your services.
Yeah, so this again, if you're not working with a PTAC, if you're not working with a PTAC, go ahead and sign up for a PTAC. It's free. The services are free. It's not going to hurt you any. And we can go into this in more detail when you're a client. But what you're going to do is whatever you buy, you have a NAICS code, maybe a UNSPC code if you're selling to the state. You're going to want to go back in history and find out who the top agencies are. You can do this through fpds.gov. I had a link for it in there. Put in your NAICS code, see who the top agencies are. You can even see who your top competitors are. And that's one way to find out who buys your services.
Great. And then a follow-up question. A couple of folks had good questions about small business specialists. First one is let's go with who are considered small business specialists, and is there a list they can access somewhere?
Okay, small business specialists. Yeah, there's a list. I showed you the link to get the list for each agency. So number one, find out who buys what you sell, what agency. Go to that list of small business specialists, click on the agency that buys what you sell, get in touch with that small business specialist. I recommend sending a capability statement, an intro email, and maybe finding out if you can set up an appointment with them to talk more about your business. The industry liaison, I believe, is more of the technical people in that industry. But you can always look at small business specialist list and then look at the industry liaison to see what the difference is. If there is a difference, I'd contact them both for sure.
Okay, and do you remember? Well, we can find that. We'll find that later. I'm looking through the slides to try to find where the link to the list is. But
you want me to go back and find it?
Maybe if we could. I know we don't have a lot of time. Let's see.
I kind of know where it is.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, okay. So that's on acquisition.gov.
Yeah, acquisition.gov. It has all the I can't move this out of the way. Yeah, you see small business, and the one I did was Homeland Security. You can just click on small business, give you the link to all their small business specialists. These are each agency has to have a small business specialist so that they can make sure the contracts are going to small business or going to socioeconomic. They're the ones that have to make sure the agency reaches their goal every year of their subcontract, of their contracting goal for small business, women-owned business, 8A, veteran-owned business. So they're kind of the gatekeeper of whether a contract is going to go to small business or if it has to go to a large business. Get them your information. They will usually send it to the buyers within their agency.
Okay, great.
And you can just click on, once you get it, you can click on this or right click and say open link.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nancy. And just a reminder, everyone's getting the slides later today. They'll go to our website. I dropped a link in the chat a couple times. Phil's asking, is it possible to be on a do not contact list without knowing it? And if so, how would you check?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I've never heard of a do not contact list. I mean, if you're disbarred, you're not going to be contacted, but
but it's not something you're aware of. There's a
if it's something in one thing about SAM, you need to make sure you have the public available to the public checked. Don't do a private. So if you do private, then only the government's going to be able to see you. So if someone wants to subcontract with you or do a joint venture with you, they're not going to find you. So maybe whoever this anonymous attendee, is, you might want to check your SAM and make sure it's marked public. That's the only thing I can think of why you wouldn't be contacted.
And we have a question about when we're putting on another how to contract the state of California, an online one. The next couple of ones we're doing, we're moving to in person. We're going to be doing one in Eureka and then one in Fort Bragg. But you can find past ones we've done on our webinar website. The same where this webinar is going to go. We've done a ton. And we will be doing online ones again in the future. We just don't have registration up for any of them yet, since it'll be probably.
Yeah. And they're usually the same, so
They are very similar.
they're very much the same.
Yeah.
The same guy gives them every time. So just go back to
Well,
the
that's
just
not
go back.
necessarily true. So if it's Wayne, they're a little bit different if it's different presentations.
Oh,
but
okay. Okay.
This one, Wayne Gross is going to be the presenter for the one in February, and he's done it many times with us, so you can check a look. And
Yeah, just watch the past one, and then if you have questions, you can always attend the live one when they have them.
Absolutely. Or reach out to your local PTAC, as you've learned by now. Okay, we're a couple minutes over time. We're getting a lot of thanks from folks. If your question wasn't answered, again, feel free to reach out to us or your local PTAC, and we'd be happy to help out. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And just take a look later today. You should get a follow-up email. As you exit the webinar today, it usually works, sometimes it doesn't, but you should be redirected towards a survey link. Just let us know how you felt about today's webinar. We always love getting feedback, improving our services. And
yeah, I'd love to get feedback about this one if you have time, because like I said, it's the first time we've done this one. So let us know if it was too much or you needed.
That's right,
yeah. So appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, it's a new topic for us. And Nancy did a lot of research on this. So we thanks again, Nancy. And
yeah,
love to see everyone at future events. So thank you so much for joining. All right, getting a lot of good shout outs from the chat. So thanks again, everyone. Rest of your day. Enjoy.